Good day, people of YouTube. What's going on? The name is AK, owner of eXtremeAzure Productions, and I'm here to bring you yet another React video. Yeah, this is a reaction because today I'm going to be giving a very short piece on my impressions of Ubisoft's brand new open world game called Steep. Now, I was originally going to do like a more professional video about this, but I said, you know what? I have a lot of stuff going on, so I'm just going to do basically like more or less like a rambling. I've actually written a full piece on this, so if you want a more professional take on my thoughts on Steep, you can go ahead and give that a read. But this is just me basically like paraphrasing like how I feel about the game, as well as showing you a bit of gameplay from it. Now, currently there is an open beta. It's going to be on for 4 days. Starts on November 18th to the 21st. Well, this video is being uploaded a day before it ends, but you get the point. But there was actually a early access period for people who got an invite, and I did for some reason. I don't know, but I'm not complaining. So I got to play the game last week for 4 straight days, and I really got into it. I'm not sure exactly how many hours I put into it, but I know it must have been a good couple of hours. I was excited for this game when I saw it, when it was first revealed at E3 this year, and I knew I was going to get it. But when I got invited to the early beta, I was like, wow, okay, awesome. And I tried it out, and that just cemented it for me. I knew I wanted the game, but actually being able to play it, that really cemented it for me. Like, okay, yeah, I have to get this game. And I have loved just almost everything about it. It's beautiful, it's really fun, it runs well on my laptop, which is rare for a Ubisoft game. You know, they suck at PC optimization, but it ran well on my laptop. It was just a really good experience so far. I'm going to jump back into it after I'm done with this video, most likely, before the beta period ends. And the game comes out, of course, next month, beginning of next month. I think it's December 2nd or 3rd, one of the two. But early December, so I'm deciding on whether or not I'm going to get it, because it is $60, and that's just for the standard edition. They have more expensive versions as well, but the standard edition is $60, so they are treating this as a full AAA release. And like I said, this is their brand new IP, so while everyone's excited about Watch Dogs 2, well, a good number of people are excited about Watch Dogs 2, don't forget that this game does exist. And yes, it is another open world game from Ubisoft. They have a growing collection of that, in addition to the many other open world games out there from the various other developers. So open world games have become like almost like a standard at this point. There's just so much of them coming out one after the other, one after the other. It's easy to get tired of the formula, but at least with this game, it's kind of like how I guess the best way to put it is like old Tony Hawk games in an open world, and instead of skateboarding, you now have the ability to snowboard and ski. That's basically how it is, because you have the full freedom. This, like I said, this is a fully open world game. You have the full freedom to go anywhere you want. You have the full freedom to play at your leisure. If you just want to ride around and explore, you can do that. If you want to play some of the events, you can go ahead and do that, but you're not being forced to do anything. So this is even more of an open world game than Watch Dogs 2 is, because at least Watch Dogs 2 has a narrative to follow. Steep doesn't really have any narrative. I mean, your character is basically pre-selected for you. You can customize your character, but you don't really have like full control over who your character is. But you select your character, you customize them however you want, and basically all you're doing is customizing their clothes and their equipment, and then you go off and then you do what you want to do. You're not being forced to do anything. There's no story to follow, and I guess it would be weird if there was a story in this kind of game. But yeah, like I said, I know this video kind of seems unstructured, but like I said, it's mostly just me rambling. I also want to talk about, of course, how it plays. Now, the controls are pretty decent. I don't have too much to complain about. It's not perfect, but it's not terrible either. Like, take for instance, skiing and snowboarding. These are the two things that you're going to be doing the most of, and they're basically the same thing. There's very little difference between the two of them. But skiing and snowboarding is how you're primarily going to be getting around. And it does feel good, you know? It does feel really good, really fluid. My only problem is getting used to the trick system. It's a bit weird to pull off. Like, there's no indicators like sometimes we'll be having other games, so you need to land it. you think landing the trick would be the biggest part of it, but no, you have to execute it properly. You have to have enough height. You have to come in at the right speed. You have to let go of the trigger at the right time. It's a really intricate trick system, but when you do tricks, it is pretty awesome. And in addition to skiing and snowboarding, there's wingsuiting and paragliding. Now, wingsuiting is definitely the most extreme out of all of these sports. There's nothing tame about it. I mean, you're in a big inflatable suit. Well, not inflatable suit, but you're in this suit with fake wings and you're just gliding through the air. You're at the mercy of how well you can control it, and it is the hardest to control out of all of these. But it's not difficult. It's just the most difficult, but it's not totally difficult. You just have to be very careful as to what you do, because it is so easy to just careen into something. And they have a kind of a ragdoll effect going on here, as you would expect from a game like this, so it is pretty funny when you do crash. But yeah, it's really fun though, and especially like so fast. It's just so fast, especially when you're going down, and there's the motion blur effect in addition to that, so it just makes it's for a really cool experience. It's awesome. And then paragliding is like the complete opposite. With paragliding, you're just, as the name suggests, you're just gliding through the air with a giant parachute. It's really tame, it's really laid back, really like both ends of the spectrum. You have the really tame one, which is paragliding, and then the really extreme one, which is wingsuiting. So, and then in between you have skiing and snowboarding, which meander between two. Like, you could have some really graceful snowboarding runs, but you could also have some really intense ones where you're going straight down a mountain. Yeah, so the game is pretty much a mixed bag when it comes to extremity, but that's a good thing. You don't want the whole game being excessively tame or excessively extreme. There's a good balance between the two, and the different events are going to allow you to see different parts of the mountain. Some trails are harder than the others, some events are harder than the others, some are easier, so there's a good amount of variation here. Like I said, it's a fully seamless game. Like, seriously, once you get into the game, once you load it up initially, that's about the only loading screen that you're going to see. Once you get into the world, if you fast travel, you just pop right there. It takes a few seconds, everything loads up, and you're there. If you mess up, you just, like I'm using the 360 controller, you just hold down the Y button, you get to reset, and boom, it's like that, a couple of seconds, you're just back there. So there's no loading, and I love that, especially for an open world game. That is absolutely perfect. I'm really glad Ubisoft was able to optimize it to that point. Like I said, it's totally seamless, which is absolutely great. And another few things I want to mention is attention to detail here. It's kind of going back into the field of presentation. Like I've already said, the graphics look pretty good. Now, of course, the terrain is bland looking compared to other games like Watch Dogs 2 or Far Cry, because here you just have mountains covered in snow. I mean, there's only so much you can do, but what really makes the game look so good is the lighting effects. Are absolutely gorgeous. There's a lot of wind effects, like on your clothes and on the objects themselves. Like, you see it in the parachute, you'd see it like flop and ruffle in the wind. If you crash, your rider gets covered in snow. So it's just little details like that. Like when you come to a stop and you see the little mounds of snow rolling down the mountain. It's just little things like that that really make for a very, very beautiful game, I must say. I mean, Ubisoft is known for making really detailed, really beautiful games, so I'm not surprised by this attention to detail, but it's nice to mention either way. Like I said, the lighting effects look absolutely gorgeous. Like, look at this shot of the sunset, just look how good that looks. It's really nice, really beautiful looking game. And another thing I want to mention, like I said, attention to detail, is the way the characters are. Now, the characters, they actually react to what's going on around them. If you come off a really high jump, they're going to be like saying, oh, like this guy says, oh, I can see my house from up here, really corny. But then if you mess up a little bit, it looks like they're coming down for a bad line, they'll be like, oh yes, oh crap. They actually react in a very realistic way. And this is emphasized even further when you go into GoPro mode. They actually GoPro actually licensed them to use their branding. So you actually have a GoPro mode, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It puts you in the lens of a GoPro camera, so you can see everything from a first-person view. When you do a trick, you will be flipping around just like you would do in a GoPro. You're fully flipping around. Every little motion is detected. So if you have motion sickness, don't play in this mode at all. It will get you really, really sick because, like I said, every single motion is tracked here. You definitely couldn't play this in VR. Good grief, this would send way too many people to the bathroom if this mode was made for VR. My goodness, but it is pretty fun to play. And then there's the replay mode you can go into if you want, and you can do cool effects like how they had in Mario Kart, but you can do the slow motion effects and everything that makes everything look a lot cooler. And yeah, it's just a really good, fun way to experience the game. The GoPro mode and the replay mode, yeah, it's all good stuff. Another thing I want to mention is how you can see here in the mountain view. Now this is mainly how you get to see the world around you. This is like a map, a really giant map, and it's in full 3D, which is pretty cool to look at. You can navigate through all the different points of interest. You can fast travel to the majority of spots. But another thing here is you notice that blue line, that's your trail. That's the last ride you just took. So the game is constantly tracking what you're doing, and not in a bad way or anything. But it's constantly tracking what you're doing. And when you ride, you create a trail. And from that trail, you can set up a challenge. You can set up a challenge for yourself. You can set up a challenge for your friends. And I thought that was really, really cool. And that's the thing about this game, is that it pushes the social aspect. So in absence of a single player narrative, even though it technically is a single player experience, in absence of a full narrative, you have a lot of social features. People are riding around in the world, you can instantly connect with them. You'll constantly see other players. You can set up challenges for your friends, so it's constantly just interacting with other people. So the game is for the most part an online experience, even though technically isn't. It's weird, but it is. Yeah, that's the best way I can explain it. And it kind of falls in line with what Ubisoft has been saying these past couple of days, that they want to move away from having narrative experiences in their games. They even said the next Assassin's Creed is going to change the formula. It's no longer going to have this deep, intricate story like what we're used to. It's going to be more of a experience that you decide what you want to do. There's going to be a story to follow, but not what we're used to. It's like you have more freedom, basically, like what you have here in Steam. Like I said, you decide what objectives you want to take care of, when you want to do them. You're not forced by this game story. You're not locked in a specific section. There are probably certain things that you can't do, or certain areas that you can't go yet because you haven't progressed in the story. Whereas a game like Steep is where you have the world opened up to you from the very beginning. You're just experiencing it. I can honestly say that I really enjoy Steep. I thought it was a fun game when I saw it the first time, and now actually getting a chance to play it, I think it's a really cool game. Definitely, I would encourage you to pick up this game when it launches next month, because I will definitely be doing that. So if you made it this far in the video, thanks so much, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment down below and tell me what are your thoughts on Steep. And I want to thank you for watching once again, and I'll catch you in the next video. This is AK, owner of eXtremeAzure Productions, signing off. Have a good day.